This is what would happen if Yellowstone National Park erupted. In short, the entire park would be destroyed, and large parts of the surrounding states would become uninhabitable for decades. This eruption would also lead to a chain reaction of earthquakes and volcanic activity all around the Pacific Ocean, and I mean all around. Even more worryingly, this chain reaction could potentially lead to the collapse of society as we know it. In other words, we might just have created our own doomsday device by creating the world's deadliest volcano. Here's the thing about supervolcanoes. They aren't like your typical volcanoes. For starters, they don't look like Mount Vesuvius or even Mount St. Helens. These are small potatoes when it comes to supervolcanoes. A supervolcano is basically any volcano that has had an eruption magnitude of 8 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index. That's level 8. To put into perspective, the largest eruption in recent history was in 1815, and it barely made it to a 6. Supervolcanoes are so massive that they leave behind huge holes in the earth called calderas. If you've seen the movie Dante's Peak, Pierce Brosnan climbs down into one of these giant holes to save his girlfriend. That's basically what a supervolcano looks like. It's a giant hole left behind after the volcano literally explodes. The most famous supervolcano is Yellowstone National Park. Now, you've probably seen pictures of Yellowstone. It's a beautiful place, and it's full of bison. But did you know that it's also hiding a massive supervolcano? Well, it's technically not hiding. You can literally see the steam rising from it in many places around the park. What makes Yellowstone special is that its magma chamber isn't just below the park itself, it actually extends outwards into the surrounding areas. That means that even if the magma doesn't erupt right underneath Yellowstone, the explosion could still affect the surrounding states of Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. To make things worse, there's nothing that can really stop it. You see, Mount St. Helens was dangerous because it built up pressure over time until it blew its top. People knew something was coming, and scientists were able to predict its eruption pretty accurately, and luckily they predicted it correctly several months before it happened. And when it did happen, no one was around to get hurt. But this won't be the case at Yellowstone. See, that's not how supervolcanoes work. There's no buildup of pressure followed by an abrupt release. Instead, magma slowly leaks up from deep within the Earth's mantle. It's always there. It's always been there, and it always will be there. Just under the surface of Yellowstone is a massive pool of molten rock just waiting to be unleashed. That means that there's always a chance it could erupt. Not only that, but the chances of it erupting seem to be getting bigger and bigger every year. In fact, some scientists believe that the next eruption may be closer than we think. Some believe it could happen within the next 600 years. Others believe it could be much sooner. And while 600 years seems like a lot of time, keep in mind that it's only about 1/50th of the average lifespan of a supervolcano. Yellowstone could be dormant for thousands of years before it erupts again. So what happens when Yellowstone does blow its lid? According to geologists, the entire park would be vaporized along with parts of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. Ash and pumice would cover the entire United States. No one would be safe. If you live far enough away, you might be able to ride out the initial blast, but eventually everyone would run out of food and water. We're talking about a global disaster here. In short, Yellowstone is just the beginning. You see, Yellowstone is part of something called the Ring of Fire. Basically, the entire Pacific Ocean is surrounded by tectonic plates that are moving apart and colliding with each other. This is why there are so many volcanoes around the Pacific Ocean. Most of these volcanoes aren't supervolcanoes, but they're still very dangerous. What makes them especially dangerous is their proximity to densely populated areas. For example, the Japanese island of Honshu is home to 110 million people and over 100 volcanoes. On this island, there's simply nowhere to escape. If a volcano erupts, everyone is going to get hit with ash. So what happens then? How would the world react to a massive volcanic eruption? Well, the effects would be felt immediately. Airplanes would be grounded worldwide due to ash clouds. Cities would be evacuated as ash and pumice fell from the sky. Farmers would watch in horror as their crops turned to dust. But this is just the start. You see, when the Yellowstone supervolcano erupts, it will send out seismic waves around the planet. These waves will trigger other volcanoes to become active, and since most of these volcanoes are located near the Pacific Ocean, they'll end up in the ocean. When these underwater volcanoes erupt, they'll cause massive tsunami waves. Entire islands will be wiped off the map, and coastal cities will be underwater. But the damage won't stop there. The ash cloud will block out the sun, leading to abnormally low temperatures around the world. Crops will fail. Starvation will become commonplace. People will do whatever it takes to survive. Large parts of the world will become stuck in an ice age. And yes, there will be a second impact winter. The cold temperatures will kill off billions of people, but it will also have a profound effect on the climate. Less carbon dioxide will be in the atmosphere, leading to global cooling. Scientists aren't exactly sure how bad this will get, but they do know that it will be bad. Yellowstone isn't like your typical volcano. Its magma chamber is connected to a web of magma chambers all around the Pacific Ocean. That means that if it erupts, other volcanoes will erupt as well. And since most of these volcanoes are located near densely populated areas, it will cause massive destruction. Coastal cities will be wiped off the map by tsunamis. Countries will lose billions of people to starvation. Crops will fail all around the world, and the Earth's temperature will drop significantly. But here's the thing, this is just a best-case scenario. It's possible that the entire world could be plunged into darkness. You see, there's another volcano near Yellowstone called the Yellowstone caldera. This volcano is already dormant, but it could become active if Yellowstone erupts. If it does become active, it will block out the entire northern hemisphere, plunging the world into darkness. If that happens, the global temperature could drop by as much as 27 degrees Fahrenheit. There would be widespread crop failure and mass starvation. Let's not forget that 90% of the food that we eat is produced within 10 degrees of the equator, so if the temperature drops that much, we're screwed. And finally, let's talk about the earthquakes. Every time Yellowstone erupts, it causes an earthquake that's felt all around the world. In 1859, a massive earthquake struck the western United States. It was so strong that people reported feeling it as far away as New York City and Hawaii. They felt the ground shake beneath their feet, and they heard a loud roar in the sky. But it wasn't just Yellowstone. In total, there were 3,000 earthquakes over a time frame of 4 days. It was the largest sequence of earthquakes ever recorded in North America. They've even nicknamed this period the Great Quake. What was so scary about this event is that it happened without warning. There was no way to predict it. We're now much better equipped to monitor earthquakes, but that doesn't mean that we'd be prepared. A massive earthquake would cause widespread damage and panic around the world. Entire cities could be leveled and millions of people could be killed. All of this would happen before we even knew what was going on. Do you want to know what the scariest part is? There's nothing that we can do to stop it. No one knows exactly why Yellowstone is the way that it is. There are many theories, but at the end of the day, we just don't know. Some believe that Yellowstone used to be much smaller, but a meteorite changed everything. That's why some people refer to Yellowstone as a supervolcano, because it's so big that it doesn't fit into our typical models. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Yellowstone is unlike anything else on the planet. If it erupts, it will have devastating consequences for humanity. Tsunamis will wipe out coastal cities. Billions of people will starve to death. Earthquakes will level entire cities. Our world would become a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And the worst part is that there's absolutely nothing that we can do to stop it. Click here to watch one of these next videos. And remember, the greatest danger to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it.